Okay. So for today, this is our overview. We're going to review assignments and turning them in, those who are missing them. And I will extend the day just for a couple of days or a couple like till midnight. Swatches, I want to review what those are, what we are, how we're going to get them to you. And then lists and organization due to you're not going to have to deal with the revised script, but this is something that all costume designers work with a lot. Even if you're working with a published script, there will be revisions, there will be character. Well, actually, somebody brought that up. Was it you, Kit? That said, what happens when a director adds a bunch of characters in, or if they take a bunch of characters out? So there's a lot of organization that goes along, and you have to be facile, pivot, and be willing to work with the director's vision, because again, it is the design team's responsibility to support and create a three-dimensional, tangible look at what the director's concept and vision is for the play. So let's start first with reviewing the assignments. And does anyone have a question about that? I know you can just put in your, there are a few assignments that people need to turn in. First of all, if you haven't done the introductory assignment, which tells me your preferred name, your preferred way to get on to Canvas, how you're going to access the course. And then I think that was also whether or not you have fabric swatches. So please, that's the first assignment. And you can just say assignment number 1, assignment number 2, assignment number 3, so that I can open those up, okay? So just know that if you're missing an assignment, I have that in grades. I'd like you to, you can chat that to me, you can text that to me, you can just do it directly to me, you can do it to me only. I think I've given you guys that. So, and thanks, Odalis. We're going to talk about the collage in just a minute, because that is an assignment that's due, but it's not overdue. So exactly, great. Let's quickly, I'm going to look to these. Okay. So finding the play. So the first assignment is week 1, the textbook discussion, which we had. That was the very first week. So if you've missed that, that's gone by the wayside, and it's no longer relevant because everyone should have their textbooks by now. If we are, sorry, a few people are coming in, I have to admit, at the same time. Okay, if we're talking about the first drawing lab, which was a drawing lab where we spent an hour or so in class doing the first drawing, that is something that you can have an opportunity to submit. The cross plot is one that is essential. It's a 20-point assignment. So it needs to be in a certain format, and it should be able to be done digitally, as we talked about, in a spreadsheet. So I wanted to check in with you guys because there was some discussion about how to submit, and that the assignments had not allowed submitting JPEGs. So has anyone tried to do that since then? Because I opened up and did a bunch of different things on that.
We can do JPEG.
So you were very successful doing a JPEG. So I think, wasn't that also you, Kit, that had a question regarding that? About uploading a
I
JPEG?
had to do with uploading a JPEG, but I haven't been able to check because we didn't have any assignments that needed a JPEG recently.
Okay, so you have everything uploaded and there's no problem.
Yeah.
So because if it's been emailed to me, it needs to be uploaded on Canvas.
Yeah, no, I re-uploaded it using the
perfect.
Google thing that class.
Perfect, thanks. And Cara, were you able to get your Excel spreadsheet uploaded?
Yes, I uploaded the Excel spreadsheet, and then I think I also did a JPEG. I'm not sure what I did for the collage.
Okay, so you could do the Excel without having a complication of having.
Yes, once you changed it, I immediately was able to upload it.
Okay, all right, very good. So then please let me know in chat directly to me or so that you can have any of those assignments uploaded. Again, the Crossplot is a 20.1, and I'll be looking at those this week. So that is something you want to do. Your redrawings should be able to be uploaded. If you can't, if you have a printer, you may be able to scan to your email. Sorry, I'm just waiting. I think someone has an open mic.
I was gonna ask you about the cross-plat. I did
Sure.
tell you. I think it might have told you last session that I did mine in kind of a weird, different way. I printed them out because I couldn't figure out a way how to do it digitally.
Yeah.
Yes. Like actually like fill out the thing digitally. I printed them out. I
Yeah.
used the pen to mark it.
Yeah.
And took pictures of it, put it
Right.
on a Google Doc, and submitted it that way.
Yeah, that's all of that is fine.
Okay.
All of that is just fine. It's, I mean, you can, in some situations even, you can, what I can do is I can download those things and just, yours is very legible. I can absolutely read your headings, and I can zoom in on them. You know, that's one of the reasons why I really like to have Canvas, because
It's really
otherwise
small.
I'm trying to download your work, I'm trying to upload it, I'm trying to get it in, and then when you get a grade, you don't have any representation of it because I can't submit it into Canvas for you. So that's why you really need to do that. So yeah, no problem. You can put it in a Google Doc, and you can take a picture of it. Try to when you're taking a picture, we can talk about that for a second too. We'll talk about both taking a picture and doing a video. Okay, so some things, for example, the collage is one that you could do even by video if you happen to old school it and do a 3-dimensional collage instead of doing a digital. You could totally old school it and hold it up and then video it. And you have that option in the grade book. How many of you have used that before and understand that clearly? Hands up or yes on the chat, please, or in the participant screen. Just say yes or hands up. So Odalus, yeah, good. Some of the rest of you, have you tried doing that? You've used the video format, because that is one I often give you an option to do. It's one that, especially if I'm asking for an explanation, then I have you have that option, as well as uploading it and typing out your whole explanation. Seeing the work of art is also adequate, but you need to make sure that you're actually seeing it. So it looks like a few people have not done that. Okay, let me just, I don't have a collage in here, but you know what, we'll take a tiny break because Odalus, you want to talk about a collage. So just a second and we'll do that. The other thing is, let's go to, let me see if I can show you in student view. Just a second. This is a weird, wait, I think I can go to my bad student, which is test student. I fail him in everything. So let me just see if I can show you student view on that. Let's see. I can't figure that out. Okay, just sorry. So just a minute, let me get a. All right, I'm going to have to think about this for a second, but if you have a question about how to do a video upload, you have to do it through the gradebook. And when you have to do it through the assignment, and on the assignment, on the bottom of the assignment, it gives you an option of how to upload it. So it'll say a file, a media file, and if it's a media file, that means that you can upload a video, okay? And that I'll accept a video format for that, because I still have a documentation in that form because it's captured in the gradebook for me. So that works out really well. When you're taking a photograph with your phone, one of the things that you want to do is make sure that you have an even surface. Let me see if I can move this back so you can see what I'm talking about. So I'm going to use this surface for my photograph. I'm going to photograph the front of this book as though it were what I'm taking a picture of. And I'm putting my phone right over it, not as a slant. Okay, so you want to be able to look at your photo and your camera and see it so that it's evenly organized in your screen. And I'm standing to the side, so this is a little difficult. Let me just get back to that. So it's important that if you're using your phone, you hold it at a reasonable distance. So I'm about maybe less than 8 inches for this 8 by 8, maybe 10 by 8 book. I'm going to take a picture of this cover. And spend time thinking about, is the cover even? Are the lines even? I'm not just going to willy-nilly do something that is not clear. Okay, and then let me just email that and see if we can take a look at that. So that you spend some time uploading your presentation in costume is almost as important as, it's not almost as important, but it is very important in the same way that any of your assignments are important. And it's what I talked about last time, I think it was last time, you know, when you're doing a presentation or you're going to meet actors for the first time, how you look is very important. So they get confidence based on how you look. So I'm going to email this to me. I'm going to email it in a small format, and then shortly I'll upload that to your site so you can see that. But try to focus. If you're taking a picture, don't take it standing up like this. Lay it flat on your table, get above the image so that you are looking at the image as clear as possible. Okay, does that help anybody? All right, let's entertain questions. We'll go to the screen on the collage page, and then I'll take questions on that assignment. Let me just get my page up on the back of my screen for that.
I just had a quick comment on the photograph.
Okay, let me go back to that. So you guys, is that Kit?
No, it's Josephine.
Okay, Josephine, your comment on the photo.
Yeah, when I tried to take a photo of my collage, I tried to take it from like above, but my shadow was over it, so I had to make it on another angle.
Okay, so was your collage rigid or was it bendy? Like, was it on a single piece of paper? Or was it rigid?
No, it was on a single paper.
Okay, so a single paper is a little more difficult. And one of the things that I've done in the past is I've taped it like this. So then you can take your image this way, so it's even. The other thing is you can put in artificial light so that you may need to do some lighting to make sure that it's actually visible. But I'll take a look at it. And if I feel like I can't see everything, I'll just let you know. We haven't talked about this idea of presentation even through form of uploading, and that is really important because when you're working in a digital world, and everybody's in a digital world. So when you're working on a movie, the location, people are working on the location. For example, when I did Vampire Diaries, I worked only in Los Angeles. Vampire Diaries is in Georgia. So the location people would send images, and there's a Dropbox file that you can go and locate images so that you can see, is this the kind of clothing that needs to be in this particular location? And then I would take pictures of anyone that was a new day player, a new person that was coming to the show that week. I would fit them at a local costume house, have the alterations done, send those photos to the costume supervisor and the costume designer, and then send those off. And often that was happening, you know, I would have fittings on a Monday and I'd be sending the clothes Monday night. So, you know, things happen over digital all the time. And you might be pulling clothes and putting them on a mannequin and photographing them. So trying to figure out the shadow thing, really important. And that's been happening for quite a while. 2 years ago, in December of 2018, I was working with a director in London. So we were sharing research and having Skype meetings and doing, this was before Zoom platform was big. So we were Skyping meetings and then sharing images via Dropbox so we could talk to each other and then move the images around. So it's important that we learn to be facile, clear, and comprehensive in this digital way. It's going to be with us for a while. And now that people have learned more about digital presentation, it will be with us even more. So, and some of you are totally savvy about that stuff. Wait, who is it that's drawing on their iPad? Sam, that's right. Sorry. Yeah, I was trying to think, wait, is it Sam or is it Kid? Is it Cassandra? Sam? Kid? Yeah. So, you know, those are things that they're great skills to learn and they're great communication things. So we'll just look at the collage page for a sec. And then if you have a question about the collage page, let's just take a look at that. All right. Why did I give you collage as something to do? Let's just talk about that for a second first. What do you think collage or the purpose of collage is?
To give you a kind of a feel or a vibe for the play, you know.
Yeah, it can give you a vibe for the play, definitely. That's true. Cara, I saw you flash up. Did you type?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, it helps you get your thoughts into one place.
That's a really interesting thing. Get your thoughts into one place. So notice this is pretty early in the process, right? It's simultaneous with the cross plot, in fact. So how do you think that works, getting your thoughts in one place?
I think that it helps with providing a more organized vehicle for maneuvering those ideas into a more tangible idea for you to move forward with.
Okay, I'm going to write that on the board. That was amazing. Such a great and thorough answer. So it gives you, and I think Cassandra helped me out here if okay, I'm not repeating that, but I agree. So a tangible. What is that, guys? What's tangible?
Physical, something physical.
Yeah, I like to do it like this. Handable. So it's something you can touch, right? You got it. That's one thing about digital. It's not, even if you're doing your collage digitally, it is giving you a visual representation, as Cassandra said, of your thoughts, but also your emotion, because you're not working with in a realistic way. You can actually just rip stuff up and slam it down there. So if we were in person, you'd be doing a complete fabric collage using only fabrics to express your opinions about the play. And it helps organize. Actually, I think, Cassandra, what you said was get your thoughts in order, right?
I think so. I kind of forgot.
Okay. Get your thoughts in order. And sometimes, remember we talked about one of the design principles was randomness. And that's kind of how collage works. You get some random objects, ideas, selection. And by moving them around, it helps you feel the poetry of the play or feel the music of the play, the movement. You can actually physically see things. You can make things move around. So that is really a very important kind of thing to do. I want to run and get one thing for you guys. Hold on just a second. Take a 5-minute chat. Actually, it'll take me 2 minutes, but I have to put my mask on. So I'll be back in 2. Thank you for your patience. I realize I should have paused, and but I didn't. Oh dear, can't think of everything. So I want to show you a couple of different things about collage and mood boards. They're not the same. I have a difference that I use to describe those two things. So a collage is non-figurative, more abstract. So it can be something like this. And here would be a way that I could video this for you. If you were going to describe this play to me, the center of the play, the way the characters interact, the way we see the characters that are evil moving together, the characters that are murky and how they work. And we could identify those individually. Maybe it's something that happens to be somewhat dark. Maybe it's something that starts, actually goes this way. Yes. That starts and it kind of spirals around. It goes, maybe it ends on a brighter note after it goes through this whole process. Okay, so these are like old school magazine things just stuck on you can stick them on a board. This is on cardboard, but it's a first hit. It's when you have your very first design meeting, how can you download what's in your brain to the director? How can you actually show them, this is what I'm thinking about. Here's the color temperature. Oh, you know what? I see on the arrow on the back, it goes this way. Here's the color temperature of the play. Here's the emotional content. Maybe this is part of the color. This is the color palette that you want to use. These are the textures that are interesting to you. This is the line. This particular image has more curved feelings and intersected by angle ideas, okay? So really taking it to the abstract. And then when you get to the next step, maybe something like mood boards, or you might go directly to sketches, but then you can start working in a figurative way so that you show the director, okay, here's what I'm thinking of. This is a sort of a contemporary play. So then I've labeled, this is Howie, some images of Howie. This is actually a person that does not appear in the play, but the play is about the dead son. How do they look in different iterations of their character. Okay. I think I have one more from that show here we go. So in this case, let's just look at these. Let's look at these two things and see what you think about it. If you don't know the play Rabbit Hole, it doesn't matter. But we have this person, Nat, who's clearly older and maybe not exactly super stylish. And then we have this person who's a little bit wild and more fun. And compared to the people on this page who are, one has it having a past life and showing grief. Another one somewhat introspective, not necessarily super fashionable, just a bit pensive. So you get a feeling for character that way. You can get a feeling for period. So this is a show that is a 70s piece, and you want to use that to educate. Again, this would be a mood board, not a collage necessarily. It's not an emotional collage, but it can give a lot of information to the director about silhouette, shape, things that were happening then that they may not remember or they may not ever have known, so that you can do period clothing and give them an idea of how something might look. And then one thing about happens to be about three sisters. So one thing, there's a lot of threes there. So you can get an idea of how things would look in group on stage. And again, not highly colored. This is a rather muted palette. And yet there are some other people in this show who are, somewhat more flamboyant. Okay, and then you get to see the 70s men look. Another thing you can do after you get to some research is you can show certain kinds of sketches. So this could be, this is just a pencil sketch giving an idea for one of the characters in Rocky Horror. Here's a different sketch from that same piece, which is when he comes down as the mummy in the Sword of Damocles. Okay, and this is identified by the show, Rocky Horror, sketch 24 and 25. There was another thing on here, changes 1 and 2. Change 2, gold trunks. So it's clearly on the page. You can see how big the page is, how large the figure is, and then the kind of information. He's actually coming down in a cage, which is why that cage is sort of indicated around the body. So I just reuse stuff, right? Because board is expensive and I'm cheap, but it's a way to economize on things. So a collage then is this really concisely tangible thing, whether it be digital or not. You can actually get a sense of an emotional content more than just words, visual representation of thoughts. So Odalys, do you still have a question about collage, and do we want to look at the collage page or no?
No, everything was answered.
Okay.
Like what we had to do and how to capture it. And it's
okay, perfect. Yeah, and so I certainly will open that back up, and I see it was on I think I try to make them due on Friday nights so that I can look at them over the weekend before we meet on Monday, but I didn't look at those. There were a number of missing pieces. So what I'll do is I will open up everything that I see that someone has not turned in. And because this week, what you have is you have 2 redrawings due on Wednesday, your 1934s for male and female with your vocab. And I will post an assignment for that. And I'll also give you some words. But you guys did a great job finding words last time. And now we have done that more than once. Sorry, now I'm trying to find something to write with. And then you'll have 4 sketches, pencil sketches due, of 4 primary characters in Thin Man, pencil sketches, and those will be on Wednesday also. Now, those will probably be Friday. So you'll have your redrawings, 1934, and your pencil sketches. So let's talk about those for a sec. No other questions on past assignments, correct? I'm just going to make my note to open that. Okay. So a pencil sketch is just basically what I showed you. This is a pencil sketch. It is, this one happens to be done on board. It's not essential that you do it on board. You can see there's some detail where we can see the hidden face underneath this masking. If this was swatched, you would see that this was done all with cheesecloth and muslin because it's a mummy, right? And he has to come down. This is actually a trick costume. He has to come down and then this breaks away and then he's left in his gold trunks underneath. And I don't have that matching picture right here. So what is it that you want to convey in a sketch? And whom would you like to represent? So let's talking about Thin Man. You're going to do 4 sketches. And when we talk about this, and people who have had me before know I'm like a broken record. When you are doing something that is multiple in one play, you want to try to represent and get the feeling for the whole play. So let's talk about Thin Man for a second. Who would be a natural that gives us the information for the play? Who is a character that is really a character that we want to think about in the play? Shout them out.
Nick.
Okay, hold on. We're going to go to breakout rooms, arbitrary. I'm going to have you each come up with, you're going to do this. You're each going to come up with, since you're not chatting with me, you're going to chat with each other. All right, I'm going to do, how can I do this? Okay, you're going to be, it'll be random and you'll be in with 2 or 3 people. And I want you to solve this question of 4 characters. Yet, I want you to represent the whole play. Just think about it and think about how you can do that. What are these characters like? What do they represent? Are you representing, you know, all genders? Are you representing all species? Are you representing time period? Are you representing character influence? Are you representing relationship? So think about that. I'll open the rooms and I'm going to give you not long, 5 minutes. All right, there you go. What we're going to answer now is the characters. So say who's in your group and then what characters you came up with.
So it's just me and Stephanie.
Okay, very good.
And we were discussing the 4 characters, and the 4 characters that we picked were Nick and Nora. First 2 are Nick and Nora because they're basically the 2 main characters of the whole play. They have the most dialogue. They're the ones that, you know, start driving the plot forward, and
they give like the witty dynamic of the play. They provide that. So we thought it was only fair that they be included in the 4. And then we also selected Dorothy because a lot of the people in the play are kind of like out there characters. Like Mimi's kind of ridiculous, and so is, you know, Morelli. But Dorothy was kind of like that I mean, she was the one person who was like really actively sad that her father was missing. So she kind of was like the damsel in distress in that manner of the play, kind of.
Okay, so Diego, sum up your 4 then for us.
And then one more, the character, Makali, I keep forgetting, I keep pronouncing the name wrong.
The lawyer.
Makale, or the
McCall.
guy who, Macaulay, the guy who's revealed to be the serial killer at the end of the play. Because obviously that was an unexpected twist, and throughout the play, a few murders happen, and you're wondering who it is, and you don't know who it is. And then at the end, you're pretty surprised by it because they do a good job of just having you keep guessing who it is, and yeah. So those were our 4 characters.
Okay, and Stephanie, do you have anything else?
I guess one more thing about Macaulay being the 4th person. He was like the two-faced character.
Okay.
So he was presented as like a good guy, and then it turns out that he was actually the bad guy.
Yeah.
Okay. So next, who wants to go next? I'll unpin you guys. Hold on a sec.
I want to.
Okay.
It was me and Clement.
Yes. Okay. And so let me get both you guys pinned. I got to get you guys in gallery so I can see everybody. Okay, here you go. And Sue.
Okay, so I said Van Dyke because he was the one that was telling the story all the way through.
Mm-hmm.
And then Clement said the real twist, the dog.
Uh-huh.
I guess because he was in most of it too.
Yes, that's my idea. I don't know does it work or not.
Okay.
And then of course Nick and Nora because they were the main characters.
Okay. All right. Very nice. Who would like to go next? And then we'll just hold your comments and then we'll talk afterwards, okay?
I'll go.
Colby, who was in your group?
I had Kid and Josephine in my group. We did Nick, Nora, Astra, the dog Astra, but we also chose Van Dyke. Kid mentioned.
So wait a minute, I got Kit. And who was your other person? I'm really
Josephine.
Josephine. Okay.
Josephine, yeah.
Okay. And you guys be sure you shout out if we're somehow mispronouncing or doing anything untowards for your name or your pronouns. Be sure you let us know. Okay, now go. Everybody's in your group. I really want, when you work in a group, everybody can equal share, okay?
Yeah, so the 3 of them have already been covered, but I think Kit mentioned Van Dyke as a good one. That kind of he's the narrator of the play, and he introduces it. So he's the conductor is kind of what I said. He drives it forward to begin with, and he introduces you to like the studio and what the play is going to be about. So I thought he'd be an important one.
Okay. And do you have anything else, Kit or Josephine?
Colby brought up a really good point about how Astra might be more involved in the solving of this debacle than we thought, because like Astra was like not only like the sidekick that like continuously was around, but like also kind of like barked at like an occasional clue, and so we thought that like Astra actually was a pretty good choice for our 4.
Okay. All right. All right. That's 2 for Astra and 2 for Van Dyke, as everyone's had Nick and Nora. Nice. And who else would like to go? Let me undo you guys.
I can go with my partner.
Okay, just a sec. I'm trying to get these people removed. Okay, that would be, is that Cassandra?
Yes, and
And me. I didn't really want to turn on my camera though.
You don't have to. I just want to pin your name so that we know who's speaking. So just a sec. You don't have to turn your camera on, but so Aspen, just a second. There you are. You can just like you're seeing my name, totally fine. It helps us identify the speaker and you as a partner in our class. Okay.
Okay.
All righty. Go ahead. Whoever's going to speak, you can have equal speaking and we see you equally.
Okay.
So for our group, we did a combination of what was mentioned by other groups where we had Nick, Nora, Van Dyke, and Dorothy. I'll start talking of Nick and Nora and then Aspen can talk about Van Dyke and Dorothy, but Nick and Nora are just the main characters of this play, and it's very important that we dress them that they can carry on the play and that they can show that they are the main characters of this play. And I went and talked about how Nick and Nora were high class and high status for this time, especially during 1934, following the Great Depression, and how their stature in society is very important and how they do have a privilege of throwing parties and having a lavish lifestyle of being someone that can investigate and go to cafes and have friends and carry through an investigation on their own. So I kind of mentioned how their wardrobe would be escalated to basically support their high class lifestyle. And that's what I kind of wanted for Nick and Nora to have as a spotlight for their characterization through their attire.
Nicely stated.
There wasn't, oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Al.
There wasn't really much we said for Dorothy other than she was like, I don't remember which group said, but a damsel in distress, I guess. But since it was her father that the case was about, we thought that she would be one of the characters. And also Van Dyke, since he is the, I guess, narrator, you could call it. So he would be in a lot, well, he is in a lot of the scenes. So he would also have not as like stylish, I guess you could say, clothing, since he was the like on the radio rather than in person. But yeah, I don't know.
Right. Okay. Good. I think that that's very clear. I'm going to come back now and let me just I'm trying to grab that image so I can drag it and show you guys. Let me go back to here. So it's pretty clear that we have a consensus, and thank goodness we have a consensus on Nick and Nora. So you really need to do Nick and Nora. Generally, then people either included, one male, one female, one species, one other, okay? So those two are going to be your choice, and this helps you narrow it down and give reason why and how these are important. And I'm going to pass this on to the director, and there's a reason why I'm going to pass it on to the director, because, all right, this is cone of silence. Can everybody keep a secret? Thumbs up. You better tell me if you can.
Yes.
You cannot breathe a word.
Yes, I can. All right.
Totally.
Okay, wait, just for your knowledge, I do have a meeting with the director at 2, but I won't tell her you said anything.
With Katie?
Yeah.
Okay. No, you can't tell her I said anything.
Okay.
And by the way, we have a cast. it was cast over the weekend, so that was really exciting. So we have a cast that will be published, and we have a read through on Wednesday night. So if you're working on the play, you'll be invited to the read through as well, which will give you an idea of who's playing what. All right, so everyone's in our cone of silence. Thank you, Sam, for your full disclosure. We're going to have someone play Asta.
Oh, that's really cool. Oh.
So, you know, a number of you felt like the dog was so important. And if you've ever had a dog or you know anything about them, then you know how intuitive they are, how incredibly prescient they are. For example, you know if you're coming home before you get out of your car. Our dog would sit at the top of the stairs and wave like this with his foot. The second he knew my son was coming home, I could see him. I would be in the house. I thought, what are you doing? You're running to the top of the stairs to wave. And then he gets this little, so funny because he's a Doberman. He's a huge face. But the dog is going to be a character. And did everybody see Kit's chat? It will be a puppet. It'll be a puppet.
For
So,
some reason, I thought that'd be an actual dog.
well, okay, it's not
Is that-
an actual
is that
dog
what you-
because actually I worked with a wire hair terrier in The Artist. And that's a super smart breed for one thing. But we had 3 dogs because there was a dog that did certain things well. And if you, maybe I'll try and find that scene. I don't think it's in the little clip that I gave you, but there's one scene where the dog's sitting at the table and the actor Jean, what's his name in the movie? Anyway, Jean, his name is Jean, sitting at the table, and Jean goes like this and the dog goes like this. I mean, they were incredible. So it's really very, very fun. So we will have someone as a puppeteer and manipulate it. And I think maybe I told it you too, because I told you that I worked on the Energizer Bunny. So that, however, was a servo remote control puppet. And it took 3 puppeteers to operate the Energizer Bunny. 1 for the ears, 1 for the drum, and 1 for the tracks, so he could spin and go back and forth. So that was he's very complicated. This is going to be a hand puppet, and we'll be working on it in the costume department. So it'll be very exciting. So this gives you your 4 characters that I want you to think about for Wednesday. Okay, think about it for Wednesday.
I'm sorry, I lost connection. I'm back.
That's okay.
Yeah.
You know, like I say, it's like the cell phone. Things happen, and you can catch up on the video. So, okay. The next thing I want to talk about on our little list of things we're talking about is swatches. So I want to show you these great bags of stuff we have for you. Over 50 swatches in each. You know, some really fun, practical, stiff, soft, light, dark, all that, okay? So one thing about these is when I see your hand, Sue, just a sec. When you get them and you're going to put them on your sketch, you'll have to probably iron them. And I'll show you how to finger iron if you don't have an iron at home, because you don't want to put something up that looks like this, right? You want to put something up that's nice and linear, and you even get fake fur. So there you go. Okay, Sue Smiley, what's your question?
You said Wednesday, but before you told us that you were on Friday.
Yeah, it'll be due on Friday, but I want to see your progress on Wednesday. I don't want you to wait till the last minute.
Okay.
And I know I have a list from everybody of who said that they can pick them up. And then if you're not picking them up, and what I'm going to try and do, and this is, I'm going to see if the box office will hold them, because the Pam Lasker, who's our theater manager, is working by helping answering phones during the day. So she's there from 10 to 3, Monday through Friday. So it'd give you a window of time to pick up, and you won't need them, but you should have them by Friday so that you can work, we'll be working with them next week. So if you can, if you've said that you need them mailed, or if you have your own and you don't need any, I've got that information too. But if you need them mailed, then I need to make sure that you send me your address. And most of you did that in the first assignment that we handed in. Sue, another question?
No, I don't have.
Okay, you just didn't put your hand down. So I thought maybe you had a second question.
Sorry about that.
Okay. All right. So one of the things that we are looking at with costume, I'm just looking at our time and seeing how long you've been sitting in your chair and if you're bored stiff yet. So one of the things that we're looking at with costume is how can we organize? So organization is really the saving grace of being a costume designer, particularly at this level. Once you get to a certain echelon and you always have an assistant, or you have an assistant you always work with, and there's multiple things, then you're maybe you're alleviated from some organization. Your costume supervisor will help organize, but you really need to keep these things in your head. So there's a couple of lists that I think are really quite important. And one of them is called the dressing list. And a dressing list is the first list that, okay, I'm just going to say this one other thing about the reason why the organization is important and why I put revised script on it is because the script that I'm working with now has 5 less characters than what we originally worked with. So, yet again, we can revise the cross plot and then we can be on the same page. That's why organization is critical. And there's combination then, some characters have been combined together so that the lines are from 2 characters are being said by 1 character. So we need to be able to reflect that somehow. But nonetheless, let's talk about organization. Dressing list. Now, I think I had you read this part in your book. Yeah? So the cross plot is in your book too. We talked about that. It was in chapter 1, 2, maybe 2. So the costume plot, which is something that we talked about where it kind of gives you a whole idea for the play. But a rough costume plot gives you a character and what they might be wearing. Let's look at our images from the redrawings for just a second, because that might be helpful and refresh our memories on who looks like what. Okay. Oh, let me get them. Yeah, I should pull them up before I send myself away. All right. So I put up some other images just for your enjoyment, not to supersede you guys doing any sort of research. You should always be doing your research. What I'm doing is an added on, okay? So let's look at this. We're going to look at 1930s figures so that we can have an idea. There's our favorite couple that we looked at. That's a nice, very clear script. He's a good one that we can do a dressing list for. But what an idea is when you're doing a dressing list is you're giving an idea of many, what the whole show is going to look like. And you're going to do a very loose and general work on this. So we have these 2 ladies. They're, you could go to dinner in this kind of a dress. Oh, and I guess I didn't put up my rather mundane man. All right, let's go back to this man then. So how many men are going to be dressed in suits in this play? Think about it.
Almost all of them.
Yeah, it could be almost all of them. Now remember, we have this triple layer where these are going to be actors coming into the studio to portray a character. So we'll want whatever the costume is to work on all situations and work to be filmed. And when I say and work to be filmed, that means we're going to do things that aren't going to make the camera go crazy. Like this dress right here would be extremely difficult because we'll be filming in video, and that will do something called strobe, meaning it'll moire, it'll look like water moving around on stage. And many of you may have seen that on television or on certain cameras. If you have looked, sometimes broadcasters' ties do that, or they're interviewing someone and they haven't really vetted them out. Video tends to be a bit more sensitive to that than film. Video is also much more sensitive to color. So if you use a bright red, you might get a red bleed across the camera. So that's another thing to be aware of. But just in general, most men will be wearing something in a suited look. So if we talk about the characters that you've selected, Nick, Macaulay, who else? Van Dyke. These are all on the higher end of the hierarchy of the play. So were we to do a dressing list, and let's just say Nick, we'll pick as representing that. Who might be another character that would be a male character that may not be in a three-piece suit? Thinking about your play.
The person that makes the phone call, I don't remember his name, but he dies. He might not wear a three-piece suit.
Okay.
Not him, I think.
Yeah, like
have
something Heim.
Noonheim.
Noonheim.
Okay. Also, maybe Morelli.
Mm-hmm.
Because Morelli's with Julia. We see Julia on the other end of the phone call, then we see Julia and Morelli talk. So possibly Morelli is in, there is just barely beginning in the 30s, high-end sportswear, okay? It's not casual. They would definitely be wearing a jacket, but maybe they're wearing an ascot instead of a tie. Maybe they don't have on a waistcoat. Maybe they have on a knitted waistcoat. So that a knitted waistcoat is slightly less formal than a three-piece suit that's all matching, right? So that there's ways you can tell hierarchy. We will have one other character that is not named that we haven't actually talked about yet. And that is the sound effects person, okay? So we have sound effects. And that person will be, I'm writing on the board and we're gonna look at this in just a second. Let's briefly talk about what this guy has on for his dressing list. We're not gonna describe anything. A dressing list is somewhat general. What's the first thing you'd say?
Shoes.
The first thing. Okay, shoes. Let me be more specific. Let's try go top to bottom. Okay, you can go bottom to top, but generally we often look at people top to bottom. So I'm putting shoes down here. So he's going to be wearing shoes. And we know because of the time period, they're going to be lace up and hard sole, right? Just because that's how it's going to be. All right, what else? General terms. I mean, what do you see?
A hat.
Hat, okay. What's another thing you see? Now Cara and Colby have gone, somebody else just shout it out.
Glasses.
Glasses, so this is accessories. And we're gonna put down a little accessory thing right here because those are really good character details. And what else?
Handkerchief?
Yep.
We can't see the bottom of what you're writing.
Okay, I mean, you can see me and the screen. Yeah, I was going to show you next time too.
Oh, okay.
So I'm gonna, when we get big, you'll see the whole thing. Does that help though?
Yes.
Okay, to me, it's such a small square, I can't even imagine that you'd be looking at it. Okay, so what else? What's the major thing for this dude?
His jacket.
Yeah, he's wearing a three-piece suit. When you look at that, everything matches, right? We're looking really carefully. It's a pinstripe, which is also a period detail. And you can see how long the jacket is, how full the pants are. But for now, we know it's a three-piece suit. He has cuffs. And that cuffs is a whole other detail because it's how wide are they, how do they fold up, where's the break of the pant, that means how long is the pant, that means we're looking at this thing right here. Where does the pant bend when the leg is extended? Okay, so there's a few other things we can talk about. We have a shirt, and in this case we can even say we don't even need, we know it's long sleeve, and this is a shortcut, long sleeve, LSCA, long sleeve collar attached. Now in this time period, it could be a detached collar, which means maybe if we have somebody kind of wearing a suit that's not quite as upscale, he might be wearing a collarless shirt without a collar and without a tie. So you can have a suit, but a different character description, or maybe as a character progresses, if they're playing somebody who's becoming inebriated, maybe the actor would do that, loosen the tie to get into the character. Okay, so that's a pretty good description. That we have a number of accessories, such as the handkerchief, which he probably has one in his pocket, and he has a pocket square as a detail. He's wearing a tie, glasses, pocket watch, and we're getting a feel for it. And we're not describing this, but this just gives us some idea. So in Nunheim, maybe we would have something that's a little bit less formal, but still going to be a hat. Everyone's going to wear a hat. He might have a suit. Maybe it's just a two-piece, right? He will have on a shirt. He will have on a tie, shoes, and we'll decide about the watch. Now, interestingly, men's wrist watches really became more popular in World War II. Up until World War II, the pocket watch was the more commonly seen watch. It could either be held by a chain here, could go up. Sometimes they were double, and it could be on a fob, which is just a like a keychain that we see sometimes, but it would hang on the outside and you'd have a pocket watch pocket in the top of your pant. Okay, a very small pocket up there. Wristwatches were not common until World War II, and then they were the tank watch, which is very similar to the one I have on. It's a small rectangle on a leather band because it was smooth to the arm, and they could go into a military tank and not have the watch chain catch on something. Couple of other things here. He's wearing a French cuff. That's a shirt that requires a cufflink, and we can clearly see that in the jacket sleeve. So that would be under accessories as well.
I have a question about that 1930s redrawing assignment that's due Wednesday. Could this image be used for both male and female, or should it be separate, like different ones, like a separate male and a separate female?
You could use these images and put them on two different papers. Yes.
Oh, use this image, but separate the character.
Yeah, I mean,
have them together.
I would prefer that you also look for other images, because I don't want to have to do all. I want you to, first of all, you're going to have to do research, and you're going to have to look for things for your sketches. So doing your redrawing can give you practice for finding a sketch, but these are two very good, straightforward, lively images to copy. So you can use those. Okay.
But the male and female have to be on separate pages though, correct?
I feel that is best.
Okay.
I feel that is best, 1 image per page, because that's going to help you as you go forward. When you'll have your collection of images together, you'll have 1930s, you'll have male, you'll have female, and there may be other information that you want to include with those particular kinds of things. Okay. And then you're going to have sketches from the 1930s, so you can put those in with your redrawings, and your redrawings will inform your sketches about Nora, your sketches about Nick, your sketches about Van Dyke, or something like that. Okay. So we've talked about how Nunheim could be different, how maybe he's not wearing a long sleeve with a collar attached. Maybe he's wearing collarless but long sleeve. Maybe it's not a cufflink. Maybe it's a button cuff or a barrel cuff. So this is what I'm saying. A dressing list can be a variety of things. Let me just stop share so you can look at the screen a little better if you want. Here you go. So Nick's dressing list is more complete. Nunheim's is general, but what this does is often as a designer, you're asked to send a dressing list far in advance, 3 or 4 months in advance of even when the show is cast, so that the shop has an idea of the volume of clothing. Now, in this particular situation, we're going to have one basic costume per actor. And as they maybe change scenes and or change characters, they will be having possibly a different accessory. So if the guy playing Nunheim also goes to be the cab driver, he can change out of a fedora into a cab hat, change out of his suit jacket into a more casual uniform jacket with a zip up that has an emblem on it that says cabbie, and you'll immediately know they're in the cab. Okay. And that, whether that's actually realistic for a radio play, or whether that's something that we are taking artistic license with so that the audience looking at it can interpret the locations more easily. It's completely up to the director what direction they want to go. If they're having an Asta with a puppet, we're already taking it out of strict radio. That would be sound effects, the barking dog, right? So we also have 2 really working people in this. We have the sound effects person and we have the producer director. So there's some latitude there in terms of both their status in their function, how we want to show their job function, because they will only be playing those characters and they will literally be in one location the entire time. Okay, so you have a way to discuss visually how are you going to have Van Dyke or the sound effects person, how are they going to be representing their status, their function in the play, their job, or their, what am I saying? The way they carry out their job. So how they actually work within there, because they are non-actors. I mean, of course, they're actors, they're coming in, but if this were a real radio play, this would be a person that is really highly, highly trained and incredibly skilled to create all of the various sound effects and music effects that are required for the play. And by the way, in our show, this is a woman. So, not that it matters, but it is, I think when I say that, how many of you felt like that character would be a man? Yeah. And if you had a neutral feeling about it, good for you. Okay.
For the special effects person,
yes,
is this person that is going to be playing this in The Thin Man, playing for SPCC? Are they actually going to be doing the sound effects, or are they just
no,
awesome?
They're going to be doing them. We have
Super
mini
cool.
door that slams. They're going to be, we've rigged up feet that will walk on different things to make gravel sound, that will do all that.
Oh.
See them. They will be visually evident in the scenes behind the people speaking at the microphone.
Oh, okay, that's super cool. So is it only going to be one person? Because that's a lot. That's a lot of sound effects to do all at once.
It is, but they have a great big table that's completely set up with all of
Okay,
them. So
perfect then.
I brought that question up as well. I thought, will we be using two?
Yeah.
Because we are not doing it live,
Mhm.
we have the opportunity to stop camera if we need to have
Oh,
overlap.
yeah,
So,
that makes sense.
so we're going to
Okay.
be using one person to do that. I thought we'd use two as well, just to involve more people, but
Mhm.
it will be one. And in the same way that we will likely see Van Dyke as the director slash producer slash introducer, he and Kennedy are all going to be mixed up together. So,
Okay.
you know, that some of them will have a bigger, beefier role.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
All right, we're going to take a break and come back. Let's come back at 11:15. And is everybody prepared? Susan, sorry, you have your raised hand. Do you have a question before we break? Sue Smiley.
How do I can't get the hand down. I didn't.
Okay.
There's a lower hand function around the same place that you had for raise hand.
Kind of kept telling me do I want to get out? And I said, no, I don't want to get out. I want to lower the hand.
So open your participant screen. Maybe
Uh-huh.
something that says more, and then usually across the bottom, you can lower your hand. Folks, you know what? Let's take our break, and I'll work with Sue, and then I'm going to have a breakout room if anybody needs to hang around and chat for a second. Okay. Awesome. Let me just do this, get it set up. I'm going to.
It just won't let me do it.
Okay. I'm gonna take you guys out. So I don't know how I can do this, but anyway. This is gonna be weird. Nope.
So where you clicked your raise hand, if you just click the same exact button, it'll put it back down.
No, when I click there, it puts other stuff up, so I can't do it. That's what my computer does anyway.
Okay.
My laptop.
Sue, do you know how to take a picture of it? Can you just take a picture with your camera and let us see it, or your phone?
Okay, sure.
And then just email it to me. We'll try and help you out. Or you know what? I can let you screen share. So you guys have opened up breakout rooms for, oh, sorry, let me go back. I don't mean to do that. I mean to do this. So just screen share, Sue, so that we can see what you're at. And a couple people wanted to talk. Don't join the breakout rooms. I've opened breakout rooms.
Share screen. Okay.
So can you screen share?
I put on share screen and I don't know what happened.
Oh, you have to turn your video on.
Wait a minute, I got it. Pam.
Okay, you're good.
And then it took me out.
Okay, okay. Just go to your Zoom. You need to go to the Zoom that we're in right now. So you might need to move this screen and see if our Zoom is behind that.
No, it's right here, but it's just showing me stop. Okay, I think I got it. I can see you, but I don't know.
Okay, I don't see your, oh, hold on a second here.
I'm kind of new to this whole thing, so.
Oh, we all are.
Yeah, I know.
Just a minute. I'm going to try to, I think, Sue, what you need to do, I'm stopping your share for a second. I think you first have to start your video. Okay, so that we can see what you're doing. So I've asked you to start your video, and then we'll go back to screen share. Now go to your screen share again.
Screen share. Okay, I got it down there. Share screen. And then I have to go share there. Okay. And then it takes me out. Always does.
Okay, and now see if you can find your Zoom page, your picture of. You should be able to see.
Screen sharing.
Okay, so let me see what I can do. If I can see the bottom of your screen. Somehow I'm not seeing your, I don't see any of your icons. I only see my icons. Here, let me try this. Let me see if I can do remote control of your screen and see if that helps. I think you can click yes.
Oh, approve, yes.
Okay, so let me just take a look at this and see. Actually, I'm gonna pause.
Also, is this due on Friday? Like all 4 sketches?
Yeah, you'll have a Friday at midnight. Just because you were online, we can do it anytime. Okay, so you're going to give me these 4 sketches by Friday because I want to give you a little extra time. So if this is, you know, you're not going to be drawing on a whiteboard and you'll take more than 2 minutes on it, right? So that's basically the layout. You're going to give me at least 8.5 by 11, a nice tall character, their title and their name so that we have them. That's about the sketches. That's because they're going to work into next week being closer to a rendering. They'll have some kind of color or media on top of them. So you can, just so you know, that's where we're going. And then once we do that, we'll be done with this play. So that's that. Any questions on the 4 sketches? So your redrawings are a male-female image in traditional male-female clothing. And I say that because if you're going to do the character of Asta as a puppet with someone that may not be a traditional costume, just saying it. And I don't want to I'm just putting that out there. This sound effects person is going to be slightly non-traditional, like not in a suit. So we've talked about that. Okay. Now,
If we do Asta, should we just draw a puppet?
no. I mean, you're going to have to, a human is going to be operating the puppet.
We're going to costume the human that's using the puppet.
And you're going to have a puppet.
Okay.
But, you know, whether you don't necessarily need to indicate the puppet, or maybe that's something you want to do later, you know? So just try and just think about it. Think about how you want to represent that. And the way that this assignment is going to go is you will have a mixed media finished sketch, which will be that you can layer things up digitally. You can put things on top of it. You can collage things on top of it. You can actually put cloth on top of it. It'll be swatched and it'll be your sketch. So it'll be not just pencil with watercolor. It'll be other media in terms of color that will go on top of that as well. So we'll have a color discussion. Maybe I should just open up a discussion for the whole semester and you guys could just chat in there. That would be kind of interesting. All right, let's just review this quickly. Any questions on the dressing list? So this then gets refined, and I realize you're not seeing the whole thing, in a format, and let me just show you how that works, very much like our cross plot. So this will help you not only organize each of the items, it'll help you organize a purchase list. So I'm going to indicate Nick is my character. The first thing I'm going to do is give him underwear. So he's going to wear, they didn't wear a t-shirt then. So they wore something that I'm calling an athletic shirt, which is similar to a tank. It's a ribbed. And then we're never going to see the boxers, so we don't care about that. Then he has on, the reason why I'm leaving this is because this will play down the road into a change list, as this is something that will never come off, right? And in this iteration, the basic garment will never come off. So they will have on a suit jacket, matching trousers, Waistcoat, also matching. Shirt. And this is going to be Glen Plaid, which is the swatch that I showed you. Gray tone. So I'm giving now a few more details. This will be a white shirt. Okay, now we come to accessories. He's going to hold this up with suspenders, stripe. He will have cufflinks. I should put tie before that. He will have shoes, black spectator, which means it's two-tone. From Spats, by the way. That's spectator pumps come from Spats. Socks. He has a watch, pocket watch.
Can you pan the camera down just slightly?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yep. With a chain. He has both a handkerchief and a pocket square. Now this list can go across a page. Again, if we're thinking spreadsheet style like the cross plot. And this gives us a multitude of information. But one of the things it forces you to look at is, where is it coming from? And how much is it going to cost? Okay. So it doesn't matter that you see the rest of the list, but where is it coming from and how much is it going to cost? Because one of the things you're asked to do immediately before you pick a play, and even if you're involved in picking a season or something like that, is what is your budget? Or they'll say, oh, your budget is $5,000. And then you realize you have 225 costume changes, and maybe that's not quite enough. So all of these things go because maybe the designer has to establish the budget, maybe the producer gives you the budget. But in order to understand each of the in-depth items that you're going to need, and each of these items can come with a dollar sign attached to it, you're going to have to get it from somewhere. And that's going to be some kind of a money. Even if it's a reciprocal loan, and we have some of those, you'll have to dry clean it before you take it back. There will be money involved in alterations. There will be money involved in all kinds of things. I say this so that you understand the reason why we do this list, which can drive you absolutely mad, is that the bottom line becomes the dollar sign. And we need to know how to adequately give a good representation of how much it's going to cost, because really, can you stay on budget? And that's what a lot of producers want to know right now. And when you're in an educational situation, one of the things that is most often misunderstood is how much money it costs for labor. Because in an academic environment, often the staff costume shop supervisor comes with the educational facility. Much of the staff may be from advanced and or beginning students that can work and organize. Your wardrobe crew head, who's the person that runs the crew when the crew is in production, if we were to be doing multiple shows, and here at City College we do 14 different performances, then you also need a way to track each one of these items to make sure that if it, for example, in this particular radio play, if there's a coat tree on stage and they're grabbing a hat or an umbrella or something for a different scene, that those items come back to the character to whom they are assigned, so they will be ready to go the next day in advance of the production, okay? So this can give you, where is it procured from, as in a procurement plan? How am I going to find this item? This gives you a budget. This gives you a way to think about, is it going to need alteration almost a lot of things need alteration, which is another $. So Alt, $. And this can go into what I call the check-in, check-out list. Again, a spreadsheet. So that if at the top of the show, he has his suit jacket, his matching trousers, and his waistcoat in his locker, and all the other items should be there, nothing's missing. Then at the end of the performance, it should come back and the X should be completed. And if something is circled, and in this case, it's something, cufflinks, very likely to be misplaced, because in the heat of the moment, the actors decided to take off their cufflinks and roll up their shirt. And now suddenly they're in the dressing room, they take off their clothes, they hang them up. The costume crew comes in to check everything off, and it's like, where are the cufflinks? And then hopefully the actor hasn't gone, and they can ask them, and the actor think, oh yeah, I actually took them and I put them down on the reading station where I had my script, and then you know exactly where to look for them. Or you're on a search mission so that you can find them, because it really is disadvantage to lose these things. And for example, one of the things that we will use is a variety of hats. So if you have a cab driver hat and you have a fedora to be your character of Macaulay hat, and you have a newsboy cap, then those are significant character details that you will need, and you will need to be able to track those as costume crew. These lists are posted so that the actors have a copy of them. The actors have a copy of themselves in each iteration of the costume, whether that's in the three-piece suit or whether that's vest open, sleeves rolled up, news cap to be the newsboy or the reporter. And the pictures are posted with the list. So again, the organization comes down through I'm sorry, I thought I had my phone off. Through dressing list, which is a macro version. Again, this is the first thing. It's more of a general. I realize that is reflective. There you go. So the dressing list, it is something that you send in advance. I've had shop supervisors say it's a piece list so that they can guess what's going to be purchased. If you are purchasing things, sometimes you have to actually send websites and links to things that you have looked at for purchase. You may also be renting things from other places. Then you have, from there, you have a specific item list, which is the dressing list described and filled out so that we can differentiate this three-piece suit from someone else's three-piece suit, because he's wearing a gray Glen plaid, someone else is wearing a brown pinstripe, someone's going to be wearing a navy double-breasted, but you'd be able to differentiate. So the item list has a better description. Then from that, you can do procurement and budget. Where am I going to get it? How much is it going to cost? Do I have to make it? Can I rent it? Am I borrowing it? Is it in our costume storage? Do we need to buy it new? Often there's even footwear is something that you have to buy new. In fact, if you're working with equity in a musical, it is required that you buy new shoes. So procurement. And then finally, out of this whole big tracking thing that you're doing, you have the performance. And rehearsal. I'll just put that on the side. You have the check-in, check-out list. Now we will do this even for the Thin Man, even as it's being recorded here on stage, because they will be getting dressed in the dressing room. They'll be walking to the Garvin Theater, and they'll be returning. Even if they do, and we have this very detailed safety protocol, which I can actually post for you. but we have it detailed out based on what my union says, United Scenic Artists 829 and Costume Designers Guild 892. This is how we have to handle costumes. This is how actors have to approach the costume. No one else can go in and touch the costume. The actor has to hang it up. They have to have it isolated. Then we remove those items on a rack, and then the room is sanitized and the other person comes in. So we're doing everything according to COVID and in a safe manner. And usually we would have multiple people getting dressed in one room, right? But we will still check things in and out. Sue and Colby, who were in Antigone, got a photograph with an item list, with a checkout list, because they came and picked costumes up in a garment bag, and then they had to account for every item being returned. So Colby and Sue, just speak for a moment to how was that helpful?
It was helpful because it was organized, and it's for accountability reasons too, because we took the costumes away from, we took them home for over a week. And it was easier for me to, or it was easy for everyone probably. It makes it simple to know what to return and how to do it.
I didn't really have a costume per se. I just had a badge.
Okay, so let's, just a minute, Sue, I'm gonna grab you. Oh, I just had you and you disappeared. Hold on a second. Okay, so I have both Colby and Sue because they were both in this performance and they had a different experience. And so Colby had an item, he had many items and he had to return them. And Sue, what was your costume experience?
Like I said, I just had to have the badge on and I had to figure out that and that took a while. The hardest part for me actually wasn't so much as the costume, it was like darkening my room so that they could film me in the dark.
Okay, but along with your badge, you got a series of directions that said how the badge should be placed. It was attached with double stick tape, which you could peel off. It had a very specific measurement about where it was to go.
Oh yes, that's true.
Right, so that you could actually lay and you had to wear a long sleeve black shirt.
Right.
So it had a very specific measurement of where it should be placed, how far down from the shoulder, how far over from the center, and on this black background. So again, that was another detail that we had to go through and show them, here's how you place it. And we gave them a pattern. This is where it goes. So, whether you're returning it or not, and whether you're in person or not, those are things that are very helpful. So Colby, even if you were in person, you would benefit from the list process, because when you come back as an actor and you take everything off, then it might prompt you to think, oh, where did those cufflinks go? So it's something that we do all the time, but it was extremely important because you guys were, as you said, taking things off campus. Okay, so I just wanted to let you know that's how this whole progression works. And that's why it is a valuable tool for you to understand and to be able to execute a dressing list. So when we talk about a dressing list, you will have that assignment, not this week. You will have that, and there will be a full discussion of this in the assignment page, just so that you know how it works. But it's something you do with every single show, with every single character, with every single costume. So from this as well, even before we get to this, I should actually add this one thing in. It's not important for this particular show, but you do a change list. And you'll get a copy of one of those. So before you do check-in, check-out, the actors get a change list that will say, okay, act, and we don't have this in our thing, but page 24, remove fedora, add newsboy cap. That would be a change, so that they would know, oh, here it is. I'm taking this hat off. I'm putting this hat on in this time frame, so that there's a chronological representation of here's what the actor is going to go through with his costume visually in this change list. when you start having, 7 costume changes, you're talking about a lot of information over 2 hours when you're also trying to note your lines and do everything. And some of them might be quick changes. So then we would have a rehearsal based on your change list. Okay, that's kind of a lot of information. Any questions? This is being recorded. Oh, yeah, this is being recorded. And any questions? Because then I have 2 things that I need, that someone brought up that I'd like to talk about. Any question at all is totally fine. Okay. Just a second. All right. So one person asked, where do you find the recordings? And let me just show you that on modules. I think this is the best way. So let me go. No, that's not what I want. Okay, are you with me? Are you guys seeing modules?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah.
So I try to indicate in the module if there's a recording. So this, how to complete a redrawing assignment, recorded lecture, drawing the proportionate figure. If I click on that, this will say costume or fashion, drawing the proportionate figure. I give you the date and what is a redrawing and drawing the proportionate figure. So then you can click on this and it takes you to the YouTube. I'm going to pause. This is a so if you need captions, this will give you captions automatically if that's helpful for you. And you can make it full screen so that you can see things more clearly. Okay, that's one reason why we hide participant view, so you get the full screen. So you can have captions and full screen. And that's what I was in a breakout room with someone, and that's what was playing when you came back into the room. And I apologize, because if you don't actually mute it and you go on to another screen, it continues to play. Okay, one other thing. Now let me get out of here. Really super great picture because we see both. When you go from a video, a 3/4 front and a 3, when you go from a video back to the site, you need to X out of the video, and I'm looking for it up there. Quarterback view, so we get a lot. All right, let me just stop this. Sorry, I couldn't figure out how to do it because my screen is really busy. So, and then I lost our site. Okay, the other thing, wait, there was one other thing I was going to show you. Oh, I wanted to show you the proportionate page, the proportionate section that is not really in a week or anything like that. It is simply in an area. And let me just show you what that looks like. All right, I'm going to have to, I have to sign in again. I'm sorry. I guess I clicked out of it and did all kinds of crazy things. So this is some new information, which might be helpful. And it goes back to our early discussion. And I think it was Kit brought this up, or maybe Cassandra. And when I get to the page, you'll understand. So when we talk about the proportionate figure, and looking at the modules, I've added a little piece in here so that you can see this. And I sent you an announcement, and I just never really know if you read them, because I've sent out different kinds of announcements and I don't see anybody and I don't get a response. So this is where you can look at different proportionate figures. We have, this was when we were talking about, our children. proportionate. So I moved them from here for redrawing to just drawing the figure its own little section. This is the male and female that we had. Here's the proportionate larger and older figure, just in a line drawing form. So that you can see, still following the 8 heads if you were doing your measurements on here. The waist seems a little higher, the chest is sagging down. Or here it looks like the waist, the belly button's actually lower, but really it's because the body is shaped there in a protrusion. So it looks like it's lower. So there's 1, 2, 3. This is the waist, right? 4 is the hip. But this gives you an idea of some proportionate figures. And then also we have, where's my guy? Here we go. My next picture is the showing you a lineup of old to younger male. When you get on this, you just have to slide it over, because I was trying to scan from a certain document so that you can see each of these, how the younger child, the head is a bit bigger in the child. You can see 1, 2, 3. It's going to be a little truncated in the limbs. This is a much longer bodied. That's not to say that's always the case, but then we have the younger boy, not a teenager yet, a young man, and then an older man. Again, we get in some sagging. So hopefully that's helpful, that you would have that in a separate module so that if you need to reference that information, it is just here under drawing the figure, okay? So I had questions on both those and I thought that was appropriate to bring that up. All right, and we're almost to time, so any last minute thoughts? Okay, I have a lot of work to do. And I will publish this recording, but I will get up the redrawings and the pencil sketches, which are for the rest of this week. And on Wednesday, we're going to wrap up this discussion of Thin Man so that you can do actual sketches. And on Wednesday, we'll work with color media. So please, everyone, have your color items that you're going to work with and paper, appropriate paper, so that we can do a couple of fun experiments for the lab. Okay? And we'll spend a little more time on that. Any questions? I will also put that in an announcement for you.